Maybe you've been told that statins are dangerous for your brain. Then you've been told by someone else that there's actually no good evidence to support that. It's confusing, and frankly, a lot of that is intentional. It's oftentimes designed to create confusion, which is a great way to attract social media attention. But what is it? Are they harmful or not? Here's a surprising answer. The reason it's so confusing is that, in a way, both sides are telling a type of truth, but not the whole truth. The entire debate is fueled by a paradox, comparing the real, personal experience of many individuals with the gold standard scientific data from millions of other people. And with these two different types of evidence, when you try to weigh one against the other, you get nothing but noise. Once you understand how to look at them separately, though, you can finally make a clear and competent decision. I'll show you just how to do that in the next few minutes. So first, let's look at the personal side or anecdote evidence. This is the argument is built on genuine individual experiences. Many people have reported real symptoms like brain fog, confusion, and memory lapses after starting a statin. These stories are powerful and relatable, and they gained official legitimacy in 2012 when the FDA issued a safety communication based on these anecdotes. But here's the single most important detail from the warning, which often gets lost in the noise. These effects were described as generally not serious and reversible upon statin discontinuation. This is a temporary side effect, not the progressive, irreversible disease of dementia like some people claim online. Now let's look at the other side of the argument, or the big picture, or the evidence-based approach, right? This is from our highest quality of scientific proof, large-scale randomized controlled trials. And these are our gold standard because they are very well designed to eliminate as much bias as possible. And the results from these massive interventional studies are incredibly consistent. Major trials involving hundreds of thousands of people found no evidence that statins cause dementia or long-term cognitive decline. In fact, analyses from observational data from millions of patients often show that statins have a modest protective effect on the brain over the long term, most likely because they help protect the blood vessels of the brain. So we have a paradox. How can some people feel real harm if the biggest, best studies show no indication of any harm? Well, the answer is that they're measuring two different things, but neither side is listening to one another. The personal anecdotes are generally talking about concerning symptoms like brain fog and confusion, but they're generally temporary. The evidence-based crowd is talking about the risk of permanent dementia. So conflating temporary brain fog with permanent dementia is the central mistake that fuels this entire debate. However, neither side should be ignored. So here's the real practical takeaway. First, if you started a statin and quickly felt a change like brain fog or memory issues, you deserve to be taken seriously. This is a real documented phenomenon. Case reports submitted to the FDA show symptoms can appear anywhere from a single day after taking it or a few months after starting that medication. But here is the critical distinction that changes everything. These documented cases describe a reversible side effect, not the progressive disease of dementia. When the medication was stopped, symptoms typically resolved within a few weeks. The problem is, though, when a person isn't listened to and the doctor doesn't suggest any change in management other than just trying it again. However, there is a powerful and logical next step. The science suggests this rare effect may be linked to a specific type of statin called lipophilic statins, like atorvastatin and simvastatin, which can more easily enter the brain. Then there's another type called the hydrophilic statins, like rosuvastatin and pravastatin, that largely stay out of the brain. And although, once again, there are randomized controlled trials showing that there is no difference in the rate of dementia between lipophilic and hydrophilic statins, those studies don't look at the subjective feelings of brain fog or confusion. So the type of statin still may very well play a role in overall symptoms. So the key takeaway is this: if you and your doctor have decided to be on a statin, you don't have to choose between heart health and brain health. For managing the side effects of brain fog, a productive conversation to have with your doctor is potentially about switching between a lipophilic to a hydrophilic statin. This may solve the problems you have without having to give up the benefits of statins. And I already know what the comments are going to say. Half of them are going to say, I'm a big pharma shill, I'm just trying to push pills down people's throats. The other half are saying, Jordan, why are you wasting time talking about this? Because the evidence clearly shows that there's nothing going on there. And I think that's the big problem, right? So on one side, we have people who've had symptoms, right? They've maybe experienced this, or they're hesitant for other reasons, or maybe someone they know had these symptoms, and so they have legitimate concerns. And the other side, the medical community says pretty much, hey, the data shows that you're making that up. And that's just not helpful for anybody. And so what I'm just trying to say is maybe just step back a little bit. Maybe there's some truth on both sides and kind of work together to figure out a solution for each individual patient. So let's bring this all home. The confusion around statins and your brain is definitely understandable, but it's fueled by comparing two different arguments. The scary headlines about dementia aren't supported by our best evidence, but the real but rare side effects of brain fog are more commonly dismissed by mainstream medicine. So here's kind of the final point. You should never feel dumb for asking questions about your health. Frankly, the evidence-based community can be incredibly dismissive of these personal experiences, and that's wrong. Every single medication has potential side effects. The goal isn't to silence people who experience them, but to listen and find solutions. However, just listening to an online influencer who says that statins cause dementia without really understanding the literature is also wrong. And that's why understanding the real nuance here is so important. You're not powerless. You don't have to live in fear. You don't have to accept being dismissed. Now you can have a much more productive conversation with your doctor to find a solution that works for you. If you want more detail on this topic, click right here to listen to the longer podcast all about the same conversation. Or click over here for a video YouTube recommends.